Look up in admiration to your fellow lifters who fail more than they succeed in hopes to succeed more than they fail. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cam and Dan Train. My name's Dan. Cam may be on audio if I can get the time to get him on audio. There's no guarantee of that, though. This content is meant for motivation, to help teach, help people learn, to expand upon your knowledge, my own knowledge, and to develop a critique of how we train and how to better our training. For me and Cam personally, and for you as well. So I hope you enjoy the content. I'm going to try and put out as much video of us training as possible. And I will talk over all of it and explain what we're doing, why we're doing it, how we do things. Just try to dissect as much of this as possible for you. If there's dead air as I speak, it's because I have a lot going through my head. To make time to do this for me is a bit difficult. Right now, it's post-lunch, and I'm getting ready for the second half of my day. So to start with, this is our warm-up. It's a piggyback off of the Waning warm-up. If you're familiar with Mr. Waning, he is one of the most strongest lifters and a proponent of the conjugate system. Just a really knowledgeable individual that I take advice from, and I take what I need and what I feel is going to help me. So this warm-up, we run 3 rounds, about 20 reps per drill. And then if we do like banded work or soft tissue work, it usually runs us about 30 to sometimes 50 reps. So I'll break down each exercise, what we're doing, and we'll just go from there. So the reverse hyper, I absolutely love. It's a great tool for anybody who is trying to develop their posterior chain, or anybody who suffered from back injury or disc injury. So I have L5-S1 disc herniation, and it helps to segment and decompress my spine. So when I get off of there, I feel really, really good. My low back feels solid. I feel like I have 2 iron rods going straight up the low to mid of my back. It gets my glutes fired up. Depending on how I do it, sometimes my hamstrings will work. And if you notice my head going up and down with my feet, head up, feet up, trying to floss nerves. So trying to make a good pathway, a good connection for my body to prep for what we're doing for the day. Moving on to the GHD there. We're doing a hyperextension. It's a completely horizontal hyperextension. I found that the 45-degree hyperextension, it bugs the hell out of my knee. So I just basically quit doing it. And you'll see in the future, I do all sorts of variations of hyperextensions. So this one is banded double kettlebell, and the kettlebells are 30 pounds a piece. The black band that we're using there to attach them to is, I think it's like 20 to 30 pounds of tension. So it's not a lot, but like when you go to do a back extension after using the band and you're not using it at all, you just pop up real quick. So it really helps you to trick the nervous system to be a little more explosive. Also, when doing those I feel a big pump in the low back. So we're kind of supersetting off of the reverse hyper onto that. So big pump in low back, high glute pump. You can't see it, but the knees do bend and flex a little bit on it. I'm trying to get the camera angles down as best I can for what I'm working with. I'm recording everything straight off the phone. And then, like, if you notice, there's a little bit of a small pull with the arms. So we're trying to, like, maintain tension in the lats and the upper back. And then the drill we're doing with the barbell is just a snatch grip, upright row. And I fell in love with this. I read it in a comment somewhere, and they're like, "Oh, try this to develop your lats or your traps." So I started doing them, and I noticed that, like, not only does it help with, like, the Olympic lifts, which is like what we're going to be doing today, but I noticed that, like, even doing these on, like, a bench press day, it lights my traps up, and I feel like I have this huge pad on my upper back that I can really, sink into as I unrack the bar on the bench press, and I just feel more solid. So, doing trap work, I feel, for the Olympic lifts is extremely important, as well as for the bench press. So, I'm like a one shell on a shotgun trying to kill 10 birds at once. I don't really like to do anything that is going to be single action, like a bicep curl. I really want to train the body as a whole, as a unit, to function well, to move well. And basically that's what all of this is about. And I'll dive deeper into that a little bit later. The last drill is a dead bug on the floor. We're using it's like a piece of a foam roller that I chopped in half, or like barely in half. It's like a quarter of a foam roller. So I didn't have like a yoga block, so I just chopped it up, and that's what we're using. So, but yeah, the dead bug, or some people call it the dead cockroach, which I feel is like, it's a mouthful, so I just call it dead bug. But the dead bug is for our lateral sling. So as we move, it helps us to stay balanced. It will also help set your hips. So, like, if your hips are like a bit out of alignment, you can get that those hips to kind of settle, so so they're not like tilted or off their axis. So at least I feel that way, especially when I squat. And there's other things that I do before I squat that will help with feeling like my hips are in a good settled position, so I'm not like stuck in like an anterior pelvic tilt, or just trying to get as fired up and as feeling as normal as possible. This is Monday's workout, and what Monday's workout entails is we do some of these auxiliaries that create a lot of volume that roll over into the rest of the week. But today is our fun day, and our fun day is really, I have like a semi of a plan. Like, I know we're going to do Olympic lifts. Like, I know we're going to do our cleans, snatches, but we do snatches first. So snatches, and then we do cleans, okay? And then, we'll do a lot of jumping. We'll do some speed agility, and then we usually finish it with a little bit more lower body volume, but not something that's going to break us down to a point where we won't be able to function for the rest of the week. So we're coming off the weekend. We usually take Sunday off. Saturday we would do kind of like our own active recovery day by ourselves. So moving on to the workout, here's what happened. I ran out of space on my phone. Okay, so I was recording, and all I recorded was like 30 seconds, and then I just got right to the meat and potatoes of everything. So I noticed that, and this is, I don't know what set this is. I think it was like set 3 or 4. We're supposed to do 5 rounds. So I, went on my phone, I managed my space, noticed that Telegram, which I stopped using for some reason, was taking up like 3.26 gigs or something like that. So I deleted that, and this is where we're at right now. So we're doing 3 snatches off of about a 5-inch block. I noticed that like pulling from the ground is great, but also working those small sticking points, or those points which Karen, which you slow down, and speed is hard to get. Speed out of that position is beneficial, but in that, I don't like pulling anything off. I don't like picking anything off the ground. I noticed that in the past when I deadlifted or did cleans off the ground, I just noticed that like it's just not a comfortable position for me. So in the end, the way we do things, our standard is our own, and I don't care what your standard is. And you can criticize me all you want, but you're not going to hurt my feelings. But it's what really works for us, and I think that's ideal for anybody, is what's going to work. If you can't, squat to depth because you have, meniscus repair, and you're just so limited, then by all means squat to where you can and develop it from there. Once you go in there and with human hands and you try to fix something, it's really never the same. So, and just like my back, my L5S1, I messed it up, and this is what I have to deal with. So, and I think a lot of people are in that position, but it holds them back. But I don't think it should. You just should create a different standard for yourself. The drill we're doing in between, the 2 drills we're doing in between, the speed drill, that's for footwork, short burst acceleration, and a little bit of hopping. So we're just trying to be as reactive as possible. I know I didn't cover the RMT club, so I'll just cover it here. The RMT club is for like throwing, swinging, hitting. It's basically an overpriced maraca. And it's part of the Weck method. I believe his name is David Weck. And he's kind of in my opinion, he's a guy that's kind of figured something out. And it's kind of wacky, but it works, And here's what I do: I take what I need, and I use it. And if it works for my benefit, then by all means, put it to use. But it has helped some of my clients. One of my baseballers went from exit velocity on his pitch from 78 to 84 miles per hour. So I mean, you implement one thing and you see a result, and it's just like, well, why the hell am I not doing this? So, but as far as the cleans go, it's a clean complex. So we're pulling from the same position as the snatch, and so we do a power clean, catch our power position, bring it back down to our mid thigh. Then we hang clean it from there. It's kind of like a high hang clean, and then we perform front squat. So clean complexes are fun because they're challenging. You're not supposed to go very heavy in weight, and it develops a better sense of technique in where you are in your movements and in different areas to which you pull from. I'm not going to discuss weight as far as the cleans and snatches. It's not about the weight. That's not what this is about. It's about moving better. It's about feeling good when moving, and it's about checking your ego at the door. And that's what we do every single time we come in. There are some days where you ego the hell out of things, and it feels good. But at the end of the day, when it comes to these primary lifts, the ego needs to go, and that's why I think the word "go" is an ego. Just get out. Don't bother me. This guy right here walking up, Arizona State football player. He's a trainer, or he's one of the trainers that's his client, and the dude is so fast, twitchy. I mean, like, you watch guys like in the NFL, like on TV, and see how they move, and you watch like 30 for 30, or you watch some of their training highlights and stuff like that. You see it on TV or on YouTube, or whatever, and it's impressive. But like when you're in the midst of it, when you're seeing it in real life, it's so it's so different. It's scary, fast, twitchy, and you feel like the angst. You feel like the anxiety that not really anxiety, but you feel like the attitude that they put into it and how they're able to exert and how a movement really should look, as opposed to like there goes Cam, as opposed to like seeing it on TV. It's just a whole different animal when you have an elite athlete or like a high caliber athlete come in that just are so developed that they really don't need much help. And we'll talk about stuff like that later in these training segments. I know I'm meandering about, but back to the drills. The one that Cameron ate it on the box. It's a split stance box jump. So I noticed that like one of my weaknesses is my first like first step, second step, third step acceleration. I'm just slow off the start, man. So like doing a start for like 20-yard dash is what we're simulating here, and we drop down, get our knees close to the ground, dump the dumbbells, and get up as fast as you can. Now that back foot has got to catch up with that front foot, and you got to land evenly on the box. So if you're going to do this drill, you really got to focus on that back leg knee speed to get out, and that's what Cam didn't do, and that's why he ate it on the box. Okay, so you probably noticed on the box jumps that Cam switched from the split stance to a square stance. He said his knee was bugging him. He's been having this knee issue for a while, and it's not really so much as a knee issue as it is a foot issue. He's got some flat feet issues, and he he's been addressing them. He's the chiropractor. He's got exercises. I give him stuff to do, and we do some prehab before we even start our warm up. We're doing prehab stuff. So while we know it is a foot issue, we're still addressing it directly, which is at the quadricep, to try and get him through the rest of training. So if anytime there's an issue, I get to the table as fast as we can, and we try and nip it in the butt as quickly as possible so we can continue on with the training. So basically what I did is just took a voodoo band and I wrapped his quadricep up. And if you know what a voodoo band is, Kelly Starrett, I believe he's the creator of it. It basically what it does is you wrap the muscle up at like 30 to 50% tension. It pushes the blood out towards the heart. Always wrap it towards the heart, okay? And then you go through a series of movements that are natural and or unnatural. And in my theory, I don't know if this is true in my theory, okay, it helps the muscle reset neurologically to forget the pain, essentially, okay? So you can continue through training. Now, whether or not long-term this is a good thing, I don't know, but it's good because we got squats on the hip belt squat next, and he's got to be able to get through it. So, and I'm laughing here because when I went over to his VMO, I kind of stepped out, and he kicked me. He didn't kick me. He was like kicking in the direction that was like questionable, right? I told him, I was like, "Don't worry, dude. I already have 2 kids. You're not gonna hurt anything, So, and we have a lot of fun training, and he'll do a little squat assessment, and he'll give me a good sign. So, all right, cooling down with volume. It's one thing that we really like to do, and it's just, I guess some people would just call it a finisher. Here's the thing with the hip belt squat. It is the bee's knees, right? So again, going back to my disc issue, all right, when I get off this bad boy, I feel like I could jump through the roof. I just feel so much lighter. Because it creates a lot of pressure on the hips. It pulls the hips down, right? And it helps decompress. So in that, it'll give you longevity is what it's going to do. And it doesn't stress out the spine. And it doesn't wreck the shoulders, which is what like squatting with a straight bar will do. We have other bars here. We don't have like, you know, a shelf full of bars so diverse that I don't know what to pick for the day. But we have a safety squat bar and things like that. And I noticed that my bench press really suffers sometimes because of the squats, because it can be so hard on the shoulders. So I don't want to squat 225 for sets of 10 to 20 because I'll have to bench press the next day and my shoulders be wrecked. So in that, the hip belt squat is king, right? Looking at Cameron, his stance, it's a little narrow, right? He's always been a bit of a narrow squatter, and he kind of came to me that way. We've been working for a number of years, and we kind of fell off because of my wife had my first child, and it's hard to get schedules linked up. But when he came to me, he was a very narrow-footed squatter. He's a very linear athlete. Like he ran and he played baseball. Baseball is a little lateral movement, like off the base or off the ball, or if you're pitching, it's from a lateral position. That's why they do squats so much for pitchers. They safety bar squat a lot for pitchers, or they do a lot of trap bar deadlifts, which I'm not going to go there with the trap bar deadlifts. But anyways, with Cam, I'm trying to get him to go wider. The wider he can go on a squat, the more it's going to develop for him, at least. So, getting on hip belt squat is just trying to reinstill that, hey, take a wider stance. Hey, turn your toes out 30 degrees. Hey, get lower in your hips. You notice he's not getting as low as he can in his hips. Again, coming from that foot issue, when he squats, he's got the butt wink going on. So, again, we address things like that in our prehab right before we work out. So like even before you guys saw the warm up, like what I didn't record was we did sled walks forwards and backwards and sideways, and then we did some banded mobilization, and we did some hip flow drills, and then we rolled out a little bit. So like we're spending 90 minutes in a workout, but 30 of those minutes is prehab. Like it's doing the stuff that like you should be doing, that's going to give you longevity, and it's going to make sure that you're primed and ready. And that's how we always start our training. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon. Feel free to comment. Again, you're not going to hurt my feelings. So fair enough to criticize.